Hello, everyone. Good evening. So as long as you can hear me and see me, thank you very much for joining. Welcome to everybody. And Shubham, thank you so much for holding fort. I'm Dr. Mehna Singh. I have been a professor both at Delhi University and at universities overseas for about 9 years at American University in Georgetown, and have spoken about my research at multiple other institutions. So I'm here to speak to you with a broader perspective. I know that most of you have access to excellent counseling services. What we try and do in this series that I have started running as Dialogues for Leverage Edu is to sensitize you about some of the larger issues. The last one we did was about looking at broader perspectives on study abroad, how to choose destinations. Today, we decided that we would speak about MBA and employability. And Shubham, I'm going to bring you back in for a moment to tell us, if you're not repeating yourself, I'm not sure that you logged in and said this already, but about how many students do we look at in terms of MBA applicants? Because I believe that's a lot of people, and so this is why we decided to do this. So tell us a little bit.
So guys, with respect to MBA options, currently, students who are with, 2 to 3 years of work experience generally are looking at, MBA options abroad, somebody who's coming with, certain work experience. Generally, if you're looking at, students for, courses for MBA, there are different disciplines that you can choose forward. You can select your specializations in with respect to marketing, with respect to finance. You can options in healthcare management. You have options in consulting. You have options in digital marketing. So a lot of options are available for students who are looking at MBAs. And MBA is a very good career accelerator for you to level up in whatever field you are doing it. If you wish to choose or basically switch your domains, you can also get certain exposure in that. A lot of students who are coming from, let's say, tech backgrounds, who have done their engineering, who have been doing tech jobs, we have a lot of students like that who are planning to make a switch and move to certain specialized domain. So you can also choose those choose an MBA program to shift your career trajectory.
Thank you, Shubham. So this takes me perfectly into some of the things I wanted to highlight. As you know, 2020 and 21, which we didn't expect, have been unprecedented years. There has been upheaval all over the world in terms of economies, in terms of lives, healthcare, everything else. In this roller coaster, what happens to the job market? Some very difficult things happen, some challenges come up. There has been havoc in the healthcare industry. There's been havoc in business, in so many other industries. Now, how has this challenge of remote work and immobility affected things? So I'm going to stop a little bit. I'm going to mention a few industries to see how you can start thinking about what are the trends likely to be. So for instance, there were businesses that did really well, and healthcare has expanded hugely, education, retail. The businesses that survived were the ones that bounced back for a contactless world. So for example, banking, more and more online, education, more and more online, different models were created, different applications came up. What that meant was that these industries will continue to keep investing in these new applications. These things will continue to happen for at least some more time. E-commerce has grown hugely. Now, all of these industries which have done well, have bounced back, are the ones which made very, very swift transitions to remote methods. So, for example, restaurants were not able to do that unless they went into food delivery. So then that became a different kind of trajectory. So what I'm trying to say is that when you're looking for specializations and courses, you need to start looking at the bigger picture. Where is the world going? You may have decided to have a particular focus in a study program, but you can always tweak the options that you do within that. As you change the options of courses within that, you will be able to create a certain niche for yourself. You will be able to get an edge that fits in with more and more of the newer world that we are moving towards. For example, look at the losers in the world of industry. Tourism has taken a really huge hit, and we don't really know when it's going to bounce back. If you think back a little bit, last year, many destinations were not doing well, but Dubai was doing well. Europe was not doing well. You heard of Maldives doing very well. And yet, how long is it going to last? It's not doing very well after some time. Similarly, hospitality. So what happens with hotels? What happens with aviation? There were thousands and thousands of jobs that were lost and careers that were lost. So basically what we are saying here is that the job market has to get smarter. It has to change. New roles have emerged, and career trends in 21, 22, and a few years beyond that are going to be a little bit different from what they were. Let me speak a little bit more specifically. I did some research and I found that, for example, an MBA program which dealt with entrepreneurship, this was one in, they did a study in the UK for 2020, and they said 9.5% more companies were established in the first half of 2019, the first half of 2020, than the entire 2019. Now, they tried to explain that and said, you know, students and grads were in business school. They were not wasting energy on commuting, but they were networked with each other. And many of them actually started coming up with business ideas. So what does this tell us? That, you know, business schools and programs that deal with management do tell you about how to grow a business from the ground up, what to do about it. So it's going to be about applicability. And as you look at programs, you need to have a sharp eye to look at these things. And for example, don't just look at Stanford, Harvard, Imperial College, but also look at, for example, IESC in Barcelona. Look at the business school in Copenhagen. Look at, you know, it doesn't just have, and the Copenhagen Business School, by the way, in last year's ratings ranks higher than Wharton. So you need to think about some of those names that you may not be looking at. The IE Business School in Madrid is also in the top 10. So I want to come back to a little bit about the sorts of businesses that you can think are going to be on the upward tick. One of them you should think about broadly is the smart and green businesses. You know that a new generation of the kind that you belong to is thinking more and more about ethical, sustainable career choices. And this is something that's happening the world over. So the green conscious generation, as it's called, is going to enable a range of sectors where sustainability becomes something that's important. It's going to be not just the fact that a generation feels more highly sensitized about it, but also regulations in many countries are changing. How is that going to affect industry? It's going to affect energy, renewable energy. It's going to create sustainable transport. What does that mean? It means that IT is going to be used much more in transportation. So what are the kinds of jobs that you can think of in this sector? Transportation management, transportation engineers, smart technology roles that you might see in 2021, 22, green data analyst, green information technology. And let me just, while I'm on transportation, let me just remind you that when a few weeks ago, the ship was stuck in the Suez, billions and billions and billions of dollars were lost. Why? Because trade and transportation are big business. So things related to that are not going to go away, but the emphasis is going to change. So for example, companies are also going to need compliance with government regulations. What's that going to mean? It's going to mean energy auditing. It's going to mean more regulation, looking at more regulatory affairs. So whether you choose courses that are to do with business law, whether they're to do with management, you're going to be looking at a high rise in tech-enabled jobs. I come to the other point now, which is that the pandemic has seen the rise of big tech firms doing even better. So Facebook, Amazon, Google, they have all gone through the charts. So all of these rich tech-focused companies are going to look for new talent for innovation. And there are opportunities for MBAs in the technology sector. They would be financial services, e-commerce roles, digital consulting. So MBA programs with a tech specialization are a good bet. Similarly, I want to come into digital business. Now, if you're looking at marketing, you have to look at digital marketing. And you have to look at subdivisions like Google Analytics, SEO, and the rest of it. So you see, consumer communication today is almost all virtual. This is also going to affect the way organizations behave, the way they expect people to work within them, the way they expect their managers to work those industries. Similarly, healthcare, which we spoke a little bit about. It's a booming industry. There's a Deloitte study of November 2020, which has spoken about how the healthcare industry is going through major redesign because of work from home. They could never have imagined that so many of their own personnel and professionals would be working from home. That's not an industry that thought that there would be so much of telemedicine and everything else that would happen. This is going to be AI and AI empowered. There are going to be MBAs that need to work with these industries to shift the business models. Analyst, revenue cycle management, even hospital management, CFOs, financial managers, health directors, people who work with organizational behavior. All of these are going to be new kinds of slants in existing industry. So when you're looking at courses today, when you're looking at an MBA program, look for an MBA program that has some cutting edge courses. If you have already signed up for an MBA program, it's not late. They're not going to tie you down and say, these are the 25 modules you have to do. There are some things that you will be allowed to change as you go along. And that's the important thing, is to keep thinking of how that will work. And I want to move on for a minute into a word that you would have heard, and that's hybrid. You've heard of hybrid education, right? Face-to-face and remote. Well, there are going to be hybrid profiles. You need to start thinking about how organizations are going to have hybrid profiles, and they will be looking out for professionals who have cross-functional experience. So think about how, if you are just working in finance, can you work in fintechs? Can you include in your MBA graduate studies courses on new technologies, courses that will make you more nimble, more adaptable to contactless business practices? How are you going to be able to create value for yourself when you join an industry?
Yes. So we have questions on the lines of, can you tell me good colleges for strategic marketing course? So I think Mr. Mishra, the answer to that would be, would be depending on what are the kind of countries that you're looking at, what are the geographies you're looking at. A lot of, MBA courses, offer a marketing specialization. So there are two ways to go about it. One, you can look at an MBA program with a specialization in marketing. Second, you can directly look at a master's in marketing program, which we can assist you with depending on how much work experience you have, what are the geographies you're looking at. So we'd be able to help you out in that perspective. Apart from that,
yeah, go ahead.
So we have questions on the lines of, I want to pursue an MBA. I'm in pre-final year right now. So what should I be doing? This is a question from Brajesh. So to answer that question, Rajesh, an MBA program is generally more suited towards professionals who are coming with 2 to 3 years of work experience at the very least. But alternatively, what you can do is you can look at Masters in Management program, which are specially designed program for students just like you who want to get a taste of management very early on in their careers. So those are the programs you can look at. And if you want to do certain specialization, let's say you want to do marketing, you want to do finance, you also have an option to go for a specialized program like that. But if you want to go for an MBA program, it is highly advisable to wait for 2 years. But again, if you want to leapfrog your take a leap of faith in your career right away, then go ahead with a Masters in Management program in a good country, in a good school, and you can start working at a mid-management level from early on.
Which country is best for Masters in Tourism, Hospitality Management? Is it a good career option after pandemic? This is not a question that one can answer in yes or no. I think you need to be very careful about the fact that by the time more jobs open up, there's going to be 2 years of backlog in graduates from hospitality and management. So you're not just going to be competing with your cohort, but you're going to be competing with people who've lost their jobs and are back in the job market. When it comes to questions which ask us which country is best, how does one say which country is best? Every country has schools that are outstanding, and there are schools that are medium, and there are schools that are less expensive. And your choice of destination is not really about just one program. You're going to be looking at your budget, the affordability. Are you looking for scholarships? Are you looking for low cost of living in that place? And what are you looking at in terms of as soon as you finish? Suppose it's a country that gives you a 1-year visa and you go learn French or something else in that country, and then you don't have a visa to stay. So this is exactly where in-depth counseling comes in, which is that you first look at schools, but then your choice of school is not really dependent only on the name and prospectus of that school. Because if it was that, then you would look at the school and you would just punch in something and say, here's my application, I'm going to take a nap, and then I just arrive there. Well, that's the complicated part, that there are many parts to it. So I'm looking at two interventions, two little comments from Ashok Ibrahim. I loved it that he said, good to see you again. And I want to say that's exactly the sort of thing I want, because I want to be able to say that we are continuing a conversation that we have begun earlier. And I'm very happy to say that with the response that we've got, we will be here most Tuesdays. I have now chosen a day, and I decided that I won't do Monday. So it's going to be Tuesdays at 6. Most of the time is going to be Insta, but it might be some other platform. So look out for us, and I will be tweaking this and coming up with all kinds of other interesting things. There might be people who are undergrads. There might be parents who are looking at some of these programs. We also decided to keep these programs crisp and short, so that if you want to see the video later, it's not a 1-hour long video that you don't have time for. So we keep them from 6 to 6:30. And you can see now that on Tuesdays, we will try and be here. If you have comments and you want to change, let us know. I have a question here about how aspirational is it to consider applying for MBA at Rotman, Queens, York? What is wrong with being aspirational, young man? It's just fine. The point is you work with your aspirations, and then you see where you are and you work towards it. If you didn't have the aspirations, none of us would be anywhere. So yes, 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 work with your aspirations, and let's be practical and do it one step at a time. Can we move from commerce to tech through any of such courses? Yes, because you will then explore the university and write to them, and you will see how your courses can count for a switch. It also helps to build a certain profile where you have done some certifications that make you more attractive as somebody who can sign up for those things. And this is the kind of advice that we give when you are building up your profile, so that by the time your application is ready, your application looks good. I want to take this 1 second, since many of you are here, to say that your profile building does not begin when you apply. It actually begins much earlier. And we are going to do a couple of sessions also on that, so you have an understanding of that. There's somebody else here who says, I don't have any background in tech at all. Well, you'll have to do a little research on the universities that you aspire to, and then you'll have to get in touch with us so we can see how to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That's what counseling helps you with. What are the prospective courses for students already having an MBA from India? I'm going to respond to this by saying, I don't think there should be a limit. It depends on the kind of specialization you're looking for. To me, that question is very vague, because I would like to understand, where are your interests? Where are you looking at employability? If you have an MBA from India, that's fine. Where do you want to go with it? And that's when you build your specialization and you choose your courses. Shubham, anything to add on that one?
There's some schools which encourage some students. There are certain schools which do not accept students, with the second MBA program. But I think we would be able to find enough and more options to accelerate your career and look at a good program which can give you good education and better job prospects.
So I have Sahil and I have Mishra ji, who said hello, and I'm saying a big hello back to you. Welcome back to our session, and we are hoping that you will also tell us what are the sort of things that you would like us to talk about in future. Is there any kind of package for students like MIM? So Shubham, you want to respond to that?
Yes, so I think to inquire about that, just sign up on our website, and we should be able to help you with that. We have had enough and more students who have been able to get into some of the top masters in management programs all across the globe.
I should repeat that there is your first counseling session. There's a free 30-minute counseling session. So that's your trial. You can actually bring your questions and see how you get your response, and you see what you get in return for that, and you go with it. So it's not like you have to make a cold call and a cold commitment. There is that option. Shubham, I'm going to go back to you to tell everybody how they can begin to avail of this free session, and what are the other things that that they would like. You can reach us on Leverage. You can reach me on LinkedIn, on Google, or whatever else. And you can suggest some of those topics. I'd be happy for you to connect on LinkedIn as well. So Shubham, over to you.
Yes, so to avail that free counseling session, just DM us with your query and your mobile number, or go on to leverageedu.com and sign up there for a free 30-minute counseling session. Once you sign up, you'll receive a call wherein we'd explain you about, we'd first try to ask you about what is your profile, what is something that you're looking at, and provide a customized plan for you. The whole process at Leverage Edu, we start with profile building, trying to understand what you are, who you are, what you plan to do in your future, and accordingly map out right courses, right colleges, right countries for you. So and assisting you throughout with the application process. And you also get a chance to apply for some really great scholarships from these universities, as well as from Leverage Edu directly.
So you want to tell us a little bit about this big hot news about Leverage Edu scholarships, because
Yes.
there's been that tweet since yesterday. Over to you, Shubham.
Yes, so Leverage Edu has launched a INR 5 crore scholarship for students who are planning to study abroad. Scholarships would be awarded in the amounts of 50,000 rupees to 5 lakh rupees per student. What you have to do is just go onto our website. There's a column for scholarships. It will be, it's underlined as red. You'll be able to see it on the homepage. Just go sign up and tell us why do you deserve the scholarship, and we'll select the right candidates. Results would be announced every fortnight. Yeah.
So I should add to this and say that Leverage Edu is a startup, and I have just recently been associated with it, and it was very interesting for me to watch how this is something that the founders want to take to tier 2, tier 3 cities, so that there is a certain democratization of access to opportunities. Shubham, that 5 crore thing is a fund. So there's not a single 5 crore scholarship. We should say that,
Yes.
that it's a fund, it's a corpus from which scholarships will be awarded, so that when students do have the ability to go and the desire and aspiration, that one extra step of running around to banks has been taken care of. So this is a very, very innovative step for an education management company. As we close off now, our time is almost up, and thank you very much, Shubham. You can say your goodbye, and we will see you on Tuesday next week.
Yes.
6 o'clock.
Goodbye, guys. Whoever is left with their questions, just DM us. We'll be able to help you out. Thanks.
Bye-bye.